Učesnici, pre nego što nastavimo dalje, želim da vas podsjetim da drugog dana kongresa imamo Gemba Walk. Gemba Walk podrazumeva posetu 4 sjajne kompanije: Continental iz Subotice, Eaton iz Sremske Mitrovice, Galeb Group iz Šapca i Panasonic iz Svilajnca. Za sve oni koji idu u Gemba Walk, okupljanje je ispred fabrika domaćina od 10:30 do 11. Izuzetak je Continental u Subotici, gde je okupljanje od 9:30 do 10. Takođe, želim da se zahvalim i našim divnim sponzorima koji nas prate. Kafu je obezbedila Don Kafa, odnosno Strauss Adriatic. Pivo je obezbedila pivara Princ, koja se bavi proizvodnjom ručnog kraft piva, a vodu MG Mivela. Posebnu zahvalnost dugujemo našem dugogodišnjem partneru u kompaniji Zlatiborac, koja je obezbedila sjajnu hranu. Želimo da se zahvalimo i JPAS-u, kao i IT kompaniji Coming, koja je napravila specijalan softver za kontinuirana poboljšenja. Posebnu zahvalnost dugujemo našim prijateljima koji su osmislili japanski kutak. U japanskom kutku možete da uživate u japanskim filmovima, mangama, u tradicionalnom ispijanju čajeva na japanski način, ili da jednostavno pročitate knjigu o Japanu. Pozivam vas da posjetite naše sponzore u holu ispred sale. U nastavku kongresa pokušat ćemo još više da približimo kulturu Japana i Srbije. Vidjet ćemo sličnosti i razlike u poslovanju između japanskih i srpskih kompanija. Na ovom panelu imat ćemo 7 sjajnih panelista koji dolaze iz japanskih kompanija i koji aktivno poslovno sarađuju sa Japanom. Moderatorka ovog panela je Danijela Čabarkapa, izvršna direktorka Japanske poslovne alijanse u Srbiji. Na ovom panelu će govoriti još i Naoki Tsukada, generalni menadžer Mitsubishi Corporation, Aleksandra Đurđević, CEO Delta Auto, Robert Lukić, direktor Toyota Srbija, Milena Argirović, direktor Takeda, Ivana Kokalović, direktor Epson Srbija i Ivan Popović, direktor NTT Data.
Yes, it is. I will switch to English right away because this panel is going to be in English. The official language of the Congress is Serbian, but as we have also the representative of Japanese business society from Japan directly, we will be switching to English. Dear participants, dear partners, dear friends, dear members, and last but not least, dear panelists, it is my great pleasure to have the opportunity today to greet you once again in the name of the Japanese Business Alliance in Serbia and to thank you for joining us this year again and to wish you a warm welcome. Today's topic is very interesting and I'm sure that we will not have enough time. We will have a lot of panelists today and the topic is quite complex, but I'm sure that we will actually get some brief information or some insights that will actually encourage you to explore Japanese culture in general, but also Japanese business culture in more details. The topic is Japanese and Serbian business culture and how knowing each other should help us build stronger and long-lasting relations, especially now in the moment where we have the growing presence of the Japanese business society in Serbia, and so the areas, potential areas where we can cooperate. And that's actually one of the reasons why our business association was established. Today, in a globalized world, where we don't have any boundaries anymore, when we are all profit-driven, we may very often assume that we all think alike. And sometimes we forget about cultural differences, and those cultural differences can sometimes lead to misunderstanding and potentially to missing some opportunities, but also vice versa. if we know each other well, we may sometimes use some opportunities in a better way. So today we have really a great panelist. I will not take more time in introducing each panelist separately, but we will do it on the way. So I wish you a warm welcome, and I hope that we will all together bring Japan a bit closer. So for the very beginning, I would like to ask our dear panelists to tell us something more about their companies, with a focus on their business activities in Serbia, and of course some current developments and future plans. So we will start with Mr. Tsukada, who is actually General Manager of Mitsubishi Corporation's representative office in Serbia, and also one of the founders himself of the Japanese Business Alliance in Serbia. Tsukada-san, Mitsubishi's representative office is quite, for a long period here present in Serbia, so you know, Mitsubishi know the region very well. So more than 50 years is the representative office already active in Belgrade and in the region. As I said, you're one of the founders, initiators of this business alliance, but something that really drew our attention and that really made us very happy and thrilled in the previous period, which also Tsukada-san mentioned, is the upcoming investment and announced investment of Toyo Tires. Can you maybe tell us something more about that as well, and explain us what is the correlation with Mitsubishi Corporation, because people are quite often very puzzled when it comes to that part.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Naoki from Mitsubishi Corporation. I've been stationed in Belgrade about 5 years this year. First of all, let me correct about last panelist. Kung Fu Panda is not Japanese. Kung Fu Panda is Chinese. And please do not tell me ni hao at the airport, as I'm Japanese. Yes, as Danijela mentioned, Mitsubishi Corporation established Belgrade office in 1965, more than 50 years ago, before you were born. And the company itself established more than 200 years ago at the samurai era. Originally, we are shipping business to the government. And now we are concentrating on the investment and the investment management and also trading. But we are not the automobile company. We are doing from food to aerospace. Because a lot of people called me, I would like to buy Outlander. But that I would like to introduce our dealer in automotives, if you wish. And also, yes, recent development of our company is tire factory investment in India. We have decided end of July having a meeting with your president and the government members. We have been negotiating with the government more than 3 years. Actually, investment itself will be done by company Toyo Tire Corporation, with whom we have a capital and business alliance for many years. Actually, we are the largest stakeholder of Toyo Tire, and we are doing negotiating on behalf of Toyo Tire with your government. We are going to invest about €500 million and start construction spring next year, and start operation hopefully 2022. The location is, as I mentioned, India, near Outlet Park, and we are going to hire more than 500 employees, from management to blue workers. This is brief introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Tsukada-san. We are really looking forward to it, since it's going to be actually the largest Japanese investment in Serbia, so we are looking forward to attract many more. Dear Aleksandra, Delta Auto is quite for a long period now already related to Japanese business society. As of 2005, you are a general representative for Honda cars, and since 2011, right? For motorcycles also in Serbia and Montenegro. So what are the current developments when it comes to that field?
Exactly, yes. We've been importer for cars and motorcycles for 40 years. I've been with brand, it's my 12th year now. Well, I can tell you that past 4 years, Honda globally decided to leave management to European level. So up until 4 years ago, I had frequent contact with Japanese colleagues, but they decided to get closer to Europe. So talking about similarities and differences. Let's say that now they are trying to go faster towards this green concept. So Honda is going green 2025, completely full electric range. So these are the biggest changes, and we have really, let's say, demanding task to get this concept closer to our market, which is not, of course, mature enough, and of course we don't have enough supports, local supports from, of course, government side as well, in terms of infrastructure and supports on the level of financing different subsidizing of this concept. So this is one exciting task for us. We also have other brands such as BMW, Mini. We used to have other brands as well in our portfolio. We've been also importer for these brands, and I can tell you that there is a huge difference between Honda as a partner and these other brands. And we are all in our company very passionate about Honda and principles, but I think that later on there will be more opportunity to discuss about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and you also opened some of the topics that we will touch a bit later on, and that's related to the changes that Japan is also grasping faster and faster today. Robert, Mr. Robert Lukić is, he has 3 titles in our association. He is director of Toyota Serbia, he is a member of our board of directors, and he's also re-elected as the president of our automotive group. Robert.
Far too many.
No, it's well deserved, and thank you very much for taking these many, let's say, activities and responsibilities within our association. It's really very well welcomed. What's new with Toyota? I would say everything is going around Olympic and Paralympic Games in Tokyo next year.
I mean, we have a crazy year. 2009 we launched 4 new models, and this is already, for anyone who is in automotive, he knows that's a lot of work. But at the same time, we are the global partner for Olympic and Paralympic. And of course, we are doing something in Serbia, so we are now in the preparations for the huge launch of our partnership. So it's one focus is of course on business, but the other is related to trying to help people who are not able to move, because our motto is mobility for all, especially Paralympics, to be present at the Olympic Games in Japan next year. So all our activity is going towards that. Otherwise, business side, the market is growing in Serbia, automotive, we are pretty green, sorry Honda, so things are going well. But of course, things could be better, especially in terms of support from our government towards the technologies which are modern, which are clean, which are green. But this is a different topic.
Thank you very much. Milena is the head of Tsukadas representative office in Serbia, and also Tsukada is one of our founders of our business association. Milena, it was quite an interesting year also for Tsukada with acquiring Shire.
Yes, thank you very much, Daniela, and good morning, everybody. I have a strange position sitting between automotive and IT sector, so I will make a break. I'm coming from pharmaceutical industry, and Tsukada is a global pharmaceutical company with a very strong Japanese heritage. This is how we define ourselves and how we differentiate ourselves from the rest. And yes, even though Tsukada is one of the oldest pharmaceutical companies in the world, like 250 years old, Tsukada came to Europe only 10 years ago by acquiring one small European company called Nycomed. And this is also when Tsukada came to Serbia and when I joined the company. This year, as Daniela mentioned, was a very important year for us because Tsukada acquired another company, Shire, from Ireland originally, and this acquisition enabled us to focus even more, probably as a part of Kaizen strategy, because our company is really dedicated to bringing innovative and specialty care products and addressing the specific gaps in the healthcare sector and the health of people worldwide. So this is briefly how we came to Serbia, and I will talk more about the company.
Thank you very much, Milena. Ivana, last year was a very significant year also for Epson, since Epson actually opened the representative office in Serbia, and as of this year you also joined our alliance.
Yeah, thank you. Epson is present here in Serbia for many years through different companies, distributors, but being very conservative and thinking a lot before taking a move. Last year Epson opened the representative office here in Belgrade. I have been working with Epson for 8 years through contract position, or even further in the past I've been working for Epson distributor in Serbia. But from the last year we started official presence with the representative office, extending number of people, and I'm glad to say the office is in charge of the whole Balkan region, which includes former Yugoslavia. So our colleagues are located in Belgrade, in Croatia, in Bosnia, and what is interesting that majority of them had a relationship with Epson in their previous professional work, and they love Epson, and like working with Epson is like marrying the man of your dreams. So it's nice to have a team such a day.
Thank you, Ivana. Yes, you can really feel that passion right away when you get in contact with the people from Epson. Ivan, Entity Data is the first Japanese IT company in Serbia, and you're here as of today.
And hopefully not the last.
Not last, of course. We have already one more. Unfortunately, they are not here today with us, but we will be hearing about them as well in the future. So, in 2006, you are here. So can you tell us something more? You're already reaching, actually you reached more than 70 employees now, so the branch office in Novi Sad is growing.
Yeah, that's correct. So we are present here exactly 3 years, because we were open on September of 2016. So to summarize the portfolio of entity data, it would take some time, because it's not just IT, it has also different businesses in which they're involved. But I would focus mainly on what we are doing in Serbia and what we are planning in Serbia in the future. So currently in Serbia we are doing software development, mainly software development in different areas, from automotive to some enterprise solutions, software solutions for the big clients. And the third pillar that we currently have is the R&D. So we managed to prove ourselves during the first 2 years of our existence that we have a huge potential in the R&D sector, because we have the connections with the university, we have a lot of young experts which showed remarkable capabilities on the projects, on their work. So we got, let's say, recognition from the colleagues from Japan, and they allowed us to start a little bit of R&D efforts here in Serbia. And I'm hoping that as the time passes by and we grow, that we will expand this actually part of the R&D, because I think this is the most interesting part that can be developed in one IT company, to really work on the cutting edge technologies, on the things which are currently trending or will be trending in the future. And we already have, I think, 2 projects which are looking behind Industry 4.0, because Industry 4.0 is a huge step towards the smart factories and in the industrialization. But we are now already involved in some new technologies like artificial intelligence, like machine learning, into this process, and by utilizing these technologies we are actually achieving much better performances than just Industry 4.0. And I think that these 2 projects will generate, I think, about, in one case, I cannot speak because of the NDAs, there are foreign factories abroad, but I think in one case we will actually gain 10% of yearly profit increase just by utilizing these technologies, and in the other case I think it's going to be even higher. but it's a little bit hard to estimate because there are a lot of things that you cannot measure and predict. And as of Serbia as a market, why entity data came? Well, it's becoming home or a host of many international companies. The big companies are coming, and we are doing business with a lot of them around the world. And we came here just to speed up the collaboration to make it a little bit more easier. And in the future, I think we are going to also move towards the SAP. We are going to move to some RPA, that's robotic process automation, and some other optimizations and integration of the business process itself.
Thank you, Ivan, very much. Yeah, I think in Japanese world, proving yourself as a potential location where you can actually add some higher level activities or the R&D is super fast, which we will be also discussing later on. I would like to skip now to the next section of the questions, and that's related to the operations of the foreign companies in Serbia. Whenever a foreign company comes to a new country, it brings the culture of its country, of course, with itself, but it also has to adapt. So the question that I would like to ask you now is related to how much does your company actually invest or contributes to the promotion of Japanese culture in general, and how important is it for you, if you are not Japanese, which is the case here in majority, to understand the culture, Japanese culture in general, and how much is it important for your employees, and how much the employees are actually asking for the opportunities to learn more about Japan in order to understand how the company operates. Maybe we can use another mic. Sorry, we have a lot of panelists. Thank you. Tsukada-san, for example, Mitsubishi Corporation is very active and it has been developing a project with the Embassy of Japan related to the spreading of Japanese language in Serbia.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we are quite active on the CSR program in Serbia. For example, we are sending Japanese teachers to Serbian elementary school and high school for more than 6 years. Actually, not only Japanese or Japanese culture promotion, but also the key of this concept of CSR program is providing a work experience for the Japanese study students in Belgrade University. Actually, the teachers are a student or OBs or OGs of Belgrade University, majoring in Japanese. Yes, in order to answer to Daniela's questions, I myself, I think it's very important to have you understand Japanese culture and mentalities, because we are quite unique countries, as you know. And this is my opinion. Though, for example, Mitsubishi Corporation looks international company, personally, I don't think so. We are a Japanese company having offices all over the world. For example, Takeda, I think they are really international conglomerate. For example, the top management is already foreigners. Our company, not only our company, still a lot of Japanese companies with big name. For example, our company, president or chairman is Japanese. All directors are Japanese. For example, all overseas directors are Japanese. And I'm telling to my colleague, we are unfortunately not yet international companies. We are Japanese company who are doing international operations. Then please understand each other. What Japanese is, how Serbian is. This is very, very important to do the business abroad.
Thank you very much, Tsukada-san. Aleksandra, you mentioned already that your whole team and yourself are quite enthusiastic when it comes to Japanese culture. So how important was you to actually understand your colleagues, Japanese colleagues, and to understand brand itself, and how much the employees were into it, how much they were keen to learn more and to understand more in order to do business in a better way, and how actually was difficult for you to become a general representative of a Japanese brand in Serbia.
Exactly, so we have quite the opposite situation when it comes to our employees. Well, we tend to organize a lot of trainings, a lot of them technical ones, but at the end of the day, all of them are really pretty much brand focused, and it's about brand promises. So this weekend I took one of my older books, 10 years ago, Top Talks, about the founders of Honda and the founder of Honda, Mr. Sachiro Honda, about a lot of exciting Kaizen topics about the business, and I can tell you that this is actually what is happening in our company a lot, but I have to bring it back to my table and to my home as well. This is my plan, so really one exciting book. So it is, product is the missionary, product is ambassador, not only of technologies, but also about the company itself. So when we're talking about, with our team, when we're talking about our values, we can never do over-servicing of our clients. And the key is to be passionate about fixing problems, and of course to be conscious about how to provide the best service. It's all about that. And the work is about that conscience of each employee to provide the best service. And we're really focused on that. And in that fantastic book, Mr. Sachiro Honda said, we need to provide 120% quality products. It is weird, it sounds weird, but at the end of the day, it compromises 10 to 20%, so we need to be better than that, because if we have 99% of success, this 1% remains unhappy. So we cannot allow that, we have to be better than that. So in our company, it's very important to be focused on this customer treatment and customer satisfaction, and of course to promote our product that is very special. And Honda as a brand is not now very active in this really, I can say, hectic situation on worldwide market about the emission standards and everything. It has just straight focus on future targets of going green completely to 2025. So that's pretty much it. I think that each and every employee in our company understands these values and promotes them. So that's good. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Aleksandra. That's something that I actually noticed during preparation of this panel. So very often people working for Japanese companies maybe don't know, they're not actually aware that something that they're implementing every day is fully Japanese. But when we start talking about that, when I was actually discussing about the topic with some potential panelists and with you as well, I very often made a comment, but that's Japanese, you're actually doing it, that's the core of Japanese culture. Robert, we already heard so many times as of the beginning of the KAIZEN kongres, Toyota is somehow really a synonym for Kaizen. So what's Toyota doing in the field of promoting the culture, and how the culture is implemented in everything that you're doing here as well?
Well, yeah, so we are quite religious about it. So the customer is for sure something which is preached, but literally every day. At every level, and the focus is really fully on the customer and the quality which the customer gets. Of course, in order to give a quality to the customer, you have to have a quality process which is behind, and you have to produce something which is quality, either the service or the product or whatever it is. So we in Toyota, we have quite a lot of workshops about the Japanese culture, how to communicate with the customer, how to understand each other, which is actually the most important. And just now we had sent our retailers to Japan, and they returned just a few days ago completely shocked. It's a cultural shock they had. And it's a continuous process. But maybe to explain what we're trying to achieve is actually when I came to Toyota 15 years ago, first of all I had to relearn the words, the basic words, like what means yes, what means no. Because this is the problem. We were in a meeting, so just a very short anecdote, I think it explains it very well, and we were explaining to our Japanese president some project. And he was sitting and saying, So in European culture, this means I do understand you and I do to a certain level agree with you. So this was like a half an hour. So went out of the meeting, wow, things went great, yeah, that will be for sure smooth. After 2 months, clear, this is out of the question, completely not. Of course, he didn't tell this directly to me, but it was out of the question. And what went wrong? The guy was okay during the meeting. So this is one thing which happens a lot. And another very short anecdote about the understandings or misunderstandings. I tried to get a no from a Japanese president.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. It's culturally, it's genetically not possible to get a no from a Japanese. They are a collectivistic culture and they will not say no. So I asked him, how do you say no? He said, maybe we will consider. That's their no. So maybe we will consider is a clear no, no chance, will never happen. So just a week after he told me that, again with a colleague in a meeting, and the Japanese president at that time, Ono-san, said to him, like looking, maybe we will consider. We went out of the room, he says, see, went well. I said, actually not exactly. So there are many books about it, but there are hundreds of anecdotes which happens to us in everyday communication with Japanese, where we really can learn, it's a different code, it's a different language, and we just have to understand it. So from the European perspective and the Serbian, which is basically the same with the wider European perspective, to adjust to that, that's the target when we are trying to somehow convey to our employees. Sorry, a bit long.
No, thank you very much. That's actually the core of the discussion, today's topics, those differences that we are all learning on the way. And thank you for mentioning that. No, I will come back to that later on, since that's a very specific thing. Milena, the KEDA is moving to a new office, and you mentioned how this culture is very important for you, and you mentioned that you actually received some kind of recommendations from your head office how to let's say, prepare your new space in order to promote and have this Japanese feeling.
Yes, thank you, Daniela, for the introduction. I will start from actually a little bit earlier step, from 250 years ago, when the company was established, since this is a pharma business, and everybody knows that pharma is very sensitive because we are dealing with human health. And that's why the culture, and especially the connection between the culture and the values, is extremely important for us. And why I'm mentioning this long history, because even 250 years ago, the founder of Takeda, Chobei Takeda I, was selling pharma products. They were herbal products at that time, as you can imagine, and he differentiated from the competition by the highest level of integrity and building trust with the customers, consumers who came to his shop to buy these herbal products. And we are living these values today as well, 250 years after. And not only that people are accepting it, but what I noticed during the last 8-9 years working with Takeda is that people are attracted by this, because usually when I interview candidates for the new hires, they usually surf on the internet and they're trying to find out what products do we have, what kind of company we are. And the only thing that they all remember, 99% of them, is Takedaism. And Takedaism is a core set of our values, which has a very nice visualization as well. In the middle of it, it's integrity, and it comes together with fairness, honesty, and perseverance. And the next step, how we live these values in a daily life, where do we focus? We focus on patients. This is the customers in your language. And then the second is trust, reputation, and business. And it's very important that everything comes in that specific order. The orders cannot be mixed. And now coming closely to your question about the offices, this is also translated to every area of our daily work, including the design of the offices, because this is where we had to have compromise. The original idea is that the offices have to be in the open space because of this collaborative culture, and because probably the fact that Japanese culture means that people are speaking not very loudly, I would say. And then we tried to find a compromise, so we didn't implement fully the open space, but we have many places where people can collaborate. And this is very important also coming back now to the Kaizen discussion from this morning, this inclusive and participative way of working together. It's not in our company, which is a little bit different, at least in other pharma multinational companies, we don't have this top-down approach. It's rather bottom-up. So we are all included in the decision-making process and at least giving feedback. So everything, the culture, the value, the office, and the daily work are somehow reflecting the Japanese values and culture.
Thank you very much, Milena. Ivana, you've been, for a month ago, I think we had this presentation of ukiyo-e. So it's a traditional Japanese printing technique which was quite correlated with a modern approach of Epson in the same field. So you've been supporting the bringing the artists from Japan and promoting Japanese culture, but also Monozukuri, the Japanese manufacturing art, is quite in the heart of your company.
Yeah, Monozukuri is something that Epson follows all the time. This is the art and science of manufacturing, which actually means that, of course, we produce quality products, but not just in terms of technology and how product works. It's efficient, and the product should be good for the people that are using it. I will not get into details about different products and technologies that Epson uses or other ones that competition is using, but the point is really it's a step ahead, not just having a good printout in your documentation, but it's how it affects our well-being with using those products. And this is something we are promoting here together with green, going green, everything. It's challenging, I have to say, everything about green, but it feels very nice because you really talk about positive things and some improvements in our life and the future.
It's a set of values that the Japanese really like to tend to and really like to stick to it. While preparing this panel, we also had some talks about the products and the approach to manufacturing. And actually, I had one story when one Japanese entrepreneur told me that his business went down. Why? Because he was so concentrated on the quality of the project. He was not even thinking about how to sell that project. So the Japanese really tend to have the state-of-the-art product, and this approach to the customer is something that is also very important, and very often it's said that a customer is not a king but a god. And Tsukada-san told me something differently. Maybe he will mention that later on. But just to continue with this story, even I know that in your office you're also really huge fans of Japan, and you're trying whenever it's possible to promote Japan and to have this Japanese spirit also in everyday work.
Yeah, that's correct. So basically I would say we sit somewhere between Mitsubishi and Takeda when it comes to the corporation and organization, because on the world level, all the directors are from Japan and Japanese, but on the regional levels, like in EMEA, the director, actually the CEO, comes somewhere from the countries which belong to the EMEA level. And somehow we have a flexible approach when it comes to the office spaces, but some things are, I wouldn't say mandatory, they are recommended, and we have the corporate branding inside our offices, starting from origami birds that are on the ceiling, and a lot of pictures from Japan, and some events from Japanese life. I would also say that we had some training when we started working for Entity Data, at least the first group of the people which came, and the ones which afterwards evolved to some middle management and higher management. We had some training when it comes to Japanese business culture, and it did help us. And unfortunately, Mr. Lukić took the anecdote that I had in mind as well, because we had
I think we all had it.
Yeah, I think we all had it, and we had a similar situation when we were in Tokyo. We were talking with our sister company, Entity Data MSC, and we were also trying to show them actually an initiative to explain them how we can improve the current project that we were working, because the scope of the project was very narrow, and we actually saw a way to really make a little bit more complete product, a little bit more evolved product, and we got the same. Yeah, we'll think about it. So, and after that, all the communication on this topic stopped for a month, and then we said, no, we don't have any resources to invest this time. So that's the pretty much same that we had, and I think it is very important to understand these cultural differences and the business ethics that comes from Japan, just to have the successful collaboration. There are minor cultural differences, but with a little bit of effort from both sides, it can be made to a wonderful partnership that really can make a good business in both sides. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Actually, while working for all this time working with Japan and Japanese and having encountered the Japanese culture, I came actually to one conclusion, and that is that the fact that it's an island, the country is an island with scarce resources really affected all the aspects of life. Either it's everyday life, social life, business life, and you see it in the harmony, in the peace, in the teamwork, and that's something. That's actually one of the reasons why Japanese don't say no. They don't want to insult someone. They don't want to show disrespect. They don't want to make a discomfortable situation. And sometimes in the Western world, it's seen as a weakness. But no, it's actually the other way around. It's actually because they want to preserve the harmony, because only in the harmony you can succeed and you can actually survive. So Tsukada-san, what would you say that we can see when it comes to Japan today, how Japan is facing this fast-changing business environment, and can we still see some traditional way of doing business, or it's being changed? For example, you've been working for Mitsubishi your whole life. That's something that is really very typical for Japan, for Japanese to work and to be loyal to one company for the whole life, but it's changing. Right?
Yes and no. Actually, of course, we try to change to the better. But still, we are respecting our old traditions, and it depends how we Japanese have to change or shouldn't change. Yes, and yes, it's very interesting to hear their statement. They hit the point. Actually, in my case, when I have a appraisal meeting every year, I always have a problem. This is my 5th overseas assignment. Why? Because, for example, I have to say, your achievement this year is not so good, and you cannot promote your bonus is this. Almost all the cases, I will be strongly complained. Mr. Tsukada, why? I have been telling my colleague in Tokyo, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, every day. I have to say, Japanese say thank you, not always really thanks. A kind of, I can say, intermediate word. And as they mentioned, Japanese yes, not always yes. Some says even no. And yes, this is probably most difficult point for you to deal with Japanese. But please be careful. Japanese yes and Japanese thank you. And also we are yes living in the country for more than 2,000 years in the same relation, and we are quite shy. We are not so good at communicating with foreigners. And I must say, Mr. Tsukada, do you know, this kind of international conference what is most difficult is to let Japanese speak and to let Indians stop talking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tsukada-san. Actually, we mentioned some typical, let's say, or specific aspects which are very important for doing business with Japan, and that's the communication style, leaving the space, not being too direct. For example, for me personally, it was quite difficult because I'm myself very direct and open person, and while working with Japan, in general, it really taught me being patient, and I'm really grateful for that. But also this communication style, it's not an obstacle when you have this trust building. So everything is related to trust.
Yes, sorry, I'm too much cheating to my country. Lastly, I would like to respond to Daniela-san's statement. Yes, we are quite unique, and we are quite takes time to know each other. Once, as she mentioned, made a mutual trust, it could be almost forever.
That's something that I also included in. I see in everyday work when you have this trust built, then everything goes much faster, much easier, and you don't have the same questions repeating. So some things that I also wanted to mention are which are really specific for Japan is decision-making process. I will not go into details. When it comes to that, everybody are quite aware that the decision-making process is going a bit longer when it comes to Japan, and why it's also being changed a bit, but it's a totally different approach. In Japan, everybody who are actually affected by some decision are involved in some way in the decision-making process. But that, on the other side, once the decision is made, the implementation goes much faster than in the Western world. Why? Because everybody are already aware of the decision and they're already agreed with it, so it goes much faster. So I would like for the very as a very last question to ask you, what was what is actually for you the most challenging situation to address as the culture from the other side's culture, and to accept and to adapt? And on the other side, what is something that you would like to encourage more and to support when it comes to doing business in some, let's say, cultural specificities of the culture itself? So, for example, Tsukada-san, what would you say is the most positive thing that you encountered here in Serbia, and what is something that is a challenge for you to explain to your employees and also for your employees to accept?
Thank you very much for your question again. Yes, one point. Yes, as I mentioned, this is my 5th overseas assignment. And I think biggest advantage for the Japanese company, not only Mitsubishi, doing a business in Serbia, is I feel the similar ethics standard. I cannot explain logically about this. And this is my strongest impression for the last 5 years. And this is the strongest reason we could in success of the sizable investment to this country. Because this is not only my impression, but almost all visitors coming from Japan and dealing with Serbian company or government and personnel feeling the same. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, in Japan, it's far from Europe and Serbia. We still have an image of the 90s. All of Japanese guests or visitors coming here feeling positive surprise. Oh, my understanding is completely different. How nice this country is. Nice is not funny. Enjoy. No, it's good fundamentals to do the business. This is my opinion.
Thank you very much, Tsukada-san. Aleksandra, according to your opinion, what is the biggest similarity and what's the biggest difference between our cultures?
Well, I have to say that I was thinking a lot about this while I was listening. Well, I think it's a sort of kindness I think that both of our nations have a certain kind in their nature, in traits and characteristics. But the difference is, let's say, and not to be too harsh, hard work and continuous improvement. Unfortunately, sometimes I see that we tend to understand continuous improvement, some kind of corrective measures, and we just avoid it. So I think that this is the biggest room for improvement when it comes to our national characteristics.
Sorry for this. Robert, what's your opinion?
Definitely the biggest difference is between the openness and the closeness. So we are quite open, Japanese are closed, and if you encounter the wrong Japanese, when I say wrong, somebody who doesn't understand it fully, he will interpret your openness as something which is maybe not positive, and we have to understand that they are quite closed. And as well, a huge difference is the decision-making process. And there I have my personal problem because I grew up in Germany. In Germany, you choose somebody who leads, and the guy is leading, and he's responsible for everything. Of course, in the Japanese company, everyone has to agree. Even the ones which we sometimes think should not be in this discussion, even if they are, maybe we think they are stupid or something like that. Now, I'm a bit rude, but just to make the point. But in a Japanese company, you have to listen to everyone and to create this kind of common understanding. And sometimes this is quite hard, especially for me coming from a German background or even a Serbian background as well. We like to find the smartest guy in the room and to say, okay, you do it. In the Japanese company, it's quite different. So it takes time. A bit frustrating, but okay.
Thank you very much, Robert. Milena?
Okay, so from my point of time, the positive thing I would agree with Mr. Tsukada is this integrity, trust and reputation, and bringing us to ethics. And according to my experience, this is something that everybody embraced. So this was really, this is still very appreciated, the fact that everybody in the company, from the CEO until every employee, everybody is walking this talk. It's not just a pure story on the paper, but it's really how we live our business lives and our personal lives. Because as we said today, Kaizen is not about business, it's about improving our personal lives. And about the challenge, I would say, again, this bottom-up versus top-down approach. Because top-down is sometimes hard, but it's also eliminating the individual responsibility, because we are doing things because somebody else told us to do. While bottom-up, first of all, we take a little bit of responsibility on us or more. And second, we have to learn on our mistakes, and we have to be brave enough to make mistakes. And this was the biggest challenge that I had in my organization, and we are now working to improve. Not to have this fear of making mistakes, because it kills creativity. Because if people are open-minded and think very broadly, they will be able to make mistakes and to commit mistakes, and then to work on how to improve them next time. But if they are not willing to risk, it kills creativity. So this is the biggest challenge we have.
Thank you. Ivana?
Well, what I like is that there are rules. And to me personally, it means a lot, because I may not be satisfied with some decisions or processes or whatever, but if I understand the rules and the principles, then I know how to behave and act and ask or do not ask, or what to change and work differently. And it makes me easy to work and to know how to work. So for me, this is much better than being relaxed and doing things once in one way and another time in a different way. So these principles really, really I like, and I would I wouldn't know how to work in a different way.
It's good to have a guide now. Ivan?
Okay, so as most of the other panelists mentioned, so I think that ethics that we possess, and I think dedication to work, when we are really resolving to do something, and especially when INAT kicks in, we can do some marvelous things. And I think that this was also recognized, as I said at the beginning of the panel, by the colleagues from Japan, because giving someone to work on the R&D in such a corporation is a big thing. And I think the biggest recognition we received and the compliment from the colleagues from Japan was that our engineers are as good as the engineers in Japan. So I think this was the biggest compliment that we received, and we are very proud of it. And regarding the differences, they were already mentioned, and I think only these minor cultural differences which can be easily overcome, and that's about it. So it's quite easy and nice to work, at least for me as an engineer, with the colleagues from Japan. So it's really very nice collaboration in both ways.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear panelists. I'm very sorry that we didn't have more time. I know that we already took a bit more than it was planned, but it's a complex topic, and as I mentioned at the beginning, I hope that we encourage you to actually explore more, to read more, and to learn and to actually get to know Japan a bit better. And of course, we will all work on that in the future period as well. And I would like to conclude with just something that I would like to draw as a conclusion from this statement from our panelists, is that yes, the relations and coming to each other with Japanese and between Japan and Serbia, it may take a little bit longer, but once the trust is there and once we know each other, Japan is here to stay, and the relations between the countries are long-lasting, and that's something that is really nice specificity to have in the relations between two countries. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your listening to us, and sorry for not having that much time for the questions, but I'm sure that we'll have more time during the Congress to discuss all the details that you are interested in. Thank you very much again.